Hey guys, Annie here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we're in the world of San Sequia and we're building a 5x2 bedroom family home. And I would say that this is a pretty traditional family home, probably closer to a craftsman style. I really love this asymmetrical kind of look about it. We do end up putting a chimney on the other side of the build as well. And this build came about fairly simple. The main struggle I had with this build is the floor plan. So if this sounds like the type of build that you would like to see, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, and yeah, enjoy today's video. So I start out with a basic shape, and then I guess it's a bit asymmetrical because we have this side bump out, which I believe I add the chimney on top of, which was what I'm just doing now. But I really loved this kind of, it has almost like a dollhouse vibe to this build, which I really love. And it's a very simplistic shape, which I really like. The color scheme is quite nice. It's a light tone wood. We do go through a lot of those shingles colors, and I do end up changing it. I don't keep how it is now. But yeah, very simple build. And of course we have a storyline that goes with this particular build. So there's a family who resided in Chestnut Ridge and they wanted to move to San Sequia because the schools were better for the kids and to have a more family orientated lifestyle. However, they did bring some of their rustic decor style / furniture into their new home, and you mainly see this in the master bedroom. I definitely feel that the mother was really into horses and things like that. So let's go a little bit through the family. So you have the parents, you have a male teen, you have two female children, so they're twins, and then you have a male infant. So the teen is into science and chess and robotics. I really wanted to have something different than sports because all this month, I swear, all of the male teens have been into sports. So we've done something a little bit different. And the first twin is into animals and nature. And then the second twin is into like reading and dolls and I guess fairy tales and playing make-believe and things like that. And then the mum is really into horses and is a vet. And then the dad is into flower arranging and is a gardener. And I guess that's also why they decided to move to San Sequia, because I mean, Chestnut Ridge, you absolutely could have a garden, but I feel like that's more living off the land rancher style as opposed to the type of environment where you would be having flowers and things like that. Anyway, so that's kind of what I would perceive this household to be like. And we are really at a good spot because we are talking about moving into the floor plan. All right, so this build had a really interesting floor plan. So you enter into the build into an open space, which is actually like a entry area and a kitchen. I love this. I think it's beautiful, and I think it actually frames the whole downstairs quite well. So off of that kind of kitchen space, you have a formal closed off dining room to the right side of the build, and then to the left side of the build, that's where you have your living room, which was a bit awkwardly placed because of how the fireplace was and the archways that lead into the hallways, because it is essentially a wraparound. So the house really wraps around that kitchen. So you can kind of, so from the living room, if you were to walk around towards the right side of the build, you would go down a hallway, and that would have the back door, and it would have, I believe, a bathroom, and then there's a staircase that leads upstairs, and then if you go to the far right, that is where there is a master bedroom. So the master bedroom is on the ground floor, and then upstairs you have, I believe, the other 4 bedrooms. Yeah. So you have the other 4 bedrooms upstairs. So this, we are just now finalizing the kitchen. It took me a while to get the color scheme. in the end, I really found inspiration from this yellow backslash tile that actually comes from Lovestruck. I really liked that it was a combination of the beige and the yellow. And similar to the build that we did in San Sequia earlier in the month, I just really love these cluttered, cutesy filled, family orientated homes. There's something about them that I just really enjoy building, and I just think they're super cute. And I love this little flowered rug. I usually use this in kids' bedrooms, but I thought that it paired really nicely in this particular kitchen because of the color scheme. Of course, I used a lot of the kitchen clutter kit, and I just kept it very simple in that kitchen space. This is an awkward size room as well, because I could have put like a breakfast table in this space, but I decided not to, but you absolutely could. This build is available on the Sims 4 gallery. My gallery ID is Antoinette.44. It is available in the description below if needed. But if you do decide to download this build and you feel that you want to add in a breakfast table, there is room. It just may be, I think that it imposed a little bit on the walkways and then the front door. And I think I was going for a little bit more of a realistic approach with that. Because even though it's The Sims, you want it to still be functional. Okay, we are into the living room. Now, this was a really hard room to decorate because of the fireplace. I was trying to determine where I wanted the TV. Did I want it above the fireplace? How did I want to position the chairs? You know, is it awkward to have the fireplace to the back of the sofa? Like, you know, I was really battling with this. And then obviously, as you can see, those twin archways made it a little hard to, you only had so many places to put the TV. We worked it out in the end. I put in an easel. I've used, again, a lot of yellow in this particular build. We pull that from the kitchen. I've put in a chess table, a bookcase, some knitting stuff, some kids' toys. I love the couch, the rug, the buffet table, the coffee table, and the fireplace all comes from growing together. This is a lot of growing together in this particular build. I put in a little cushion on that chair, and yeah, just really spruced up that space. Okay, we are now back through the entrance back to the right side of the build where you have that dining room. So as I mentioned, it has its own private closed off dining room. I don't usually do this a lot. I've done it twice this month. So in the first build of the month, the Euro townhouse, it did have a private dining room, and I kind of like it. It's different to what I normally do. Normally it's all an open area and I have the kitchen, living, dining all in one, but there's something so nice about having a formal dining room that I think I might incorporate them in my builds more often. Okay, this is, so we're just continuing on the right side of the build. You kind of have like an improv mudroom entrance area, and this is the back of the build. That door there to that larger room is the master bedroom, and this room here is your downstairs bathroom. It is a fairly large bathroom, but again, that's not too bad as it is the downstairs. I put in an indoor plant from Enchanted by Nature. I thought that that would be quite sweet. Now that we have indoor plants, I want to use them more often. And I put in a shower tub combo and just a really basic bathroom. I've used the high school years tiles in here, both the tiles as in the floor and the wall tiles. I've used the new base game doors around the house in a general sense. And yeah. All right, we are moving into arguably my favorite room of the entire house. This is that master bedroom, and this is that rustic family bedroom where, as part of the storyline, we pulled a lot of furniture from their house that they had in Chestnut Ridge. There isn't really a house, I'm just kind of improvising here. But yeah, I love the color scheme. I love that minty green bedspread paired with the yellows and pinks and greens, and we really do use a lot of the light colors that we do see around the build. And I did change the layout of this room around a little bit. I used some portraits from the Nature Press object that came with Enchanted by Nature, and I do put in a giant portrait. I think it has like a horse on it above the bed. and I think it's really beautiful. In fact, I put a nature press in this bedroom on the desk, which is really lovely. Put in some clutter. This rug paired perfectly with this bed. It comes from Strangerville, actually. And I, of course, have my favorite freestanding mirror, which comes from Jungle Adventure. And I've paired it with this wallpaper that's a base game, actually. And it's got little flowers on it if you zoom in closely. I love this space. All right, we put in a ton of gardening stuff because, of course, the dad is into gardening and flower arranging. Pretty sure I put in a flower arranging table, but it's on the front porch, which is quite interesting. But nonetheless, we still have one. All right, I have put in a swing set and some monkey bars, and I'm just kind of like changing the path around just to kind of make it, make it make sense. We do put in a table and a grill. We didn't have a lot of room. So I find with the lots in San Sequia, sometimes they're a bit challenging to work with because they're not exactly very wide. Sorry, they're very wide, but they're very narrow in terms of the length. They're more horizontal. So I feel like I never really have much of a backyard with these types of builds. Unless you're building on like a really large lot, there is one in the top part of the world, and there is like the home of where the Michelsons family lives. I think that's their name. That is a huge lot. So like it doesn't really matter. You could definitely do a large family home with a backyard on that lot. But the other lots that they have, this is Eucalyptus Lane and also the Sequoia Cottage lot. I really struggle to have a backyard in those builds, in those lots. Okay, so yes, we do put the flower arranging table on the front porch, and then furthermore, planter plots, so tons of gardening space. And we are moving into the landscaping. So I've gone ahead with the yellow theme. We do get rid of all of these yellow bushes at the front of the build. I think I just keep it green. I'm not sure, but I've used a fence as a way to kind of add division in the planter in the garden beds, and I think that worked really well. Oh yes, so I was in the debug menu for Growing Together, and I found these beautiful yellow flowers, and I've decided to use those all around the build, and it kind of just runs with the yellow theme. We're just really running with it. So there's a lot of yellow in this build, and it just makes for a really sunny family home, very inviting, and it pairs quite well with the cream brick in the wallpaper, the exterior, and also that kind of mint green sliding. I love the little gnome that has the sunflowers. What a cute little guy. Yes, so I changed it to just a basic shrub at the front of the build. I think it looks way better. It allows the pops of yellow in the side garden bed to, exactly like that, pop a little bit more. And the back is very minimal because it's not very spacious out here, so I don't put a ton of landscaping out the back. I move the monkey bars to the front, and I put in some extra gardening. Not that you need it. There's so much. I just realized how much there was. There is no kind of laundry in this particular build. There's not exactly anything in this build that's different. I know in a couple of other builds this month we've had basements, we've had skill rooms, we've had laundry. So I really have tried to make each build quite different from the other, and this was just a very standard family home. I think the innovative part of this build was the floor plan. Walking in and having that kitchen be very central, I really enjoyed that, but it made the upstairs a pain. It took me forever to get the floor plan right upstairs, to the point where this build was a work in progress for weeks, close to a month, because I really struggled with the upstairs, but I loved the downstairs. So speaking of the upstairs, we are upstairs. The floor plan is already done and there are beds. So let's talk a little bit about this floor plan that took me forever. So you walk upstairs, you have a bathroom, you have a study, you then have the 2 twin child's rooms, You then have the infants room, and then that wraps around to the teens room, which is across from where this buffet table is now that we are loading up. I put in, again, tons of clutter from Chestnut Ridge and horses and things like that. I've used the same chairs from the living room. I've kind of duplicated a lot of the furniture. All of the growing together curtains are throughout the build. And yeah, so that is basically the upstairs hallway. And I think we just add in a mirror and then we start on the bedrooms potentially. Yes. Okay, so we're starting with the teens bedroom. Now, I do change the bed, but I just put the beds down for placement furniture because I was trying to work out where I wanted each room. You could easily make this into a 6x2, but I decided that a 5x2 is better than a 6x2. But then again, the study is definitely a good enough size that if you wanted to, but I felt that there's not enough bathrooms for that. I love this space. So this bed really pulled the inspiration for the whole color scheme of the room, that green. And I found this alien decor piece that's like on these like skateboards. I thought that was pretty cool. Put in some neon lights. I put in a lot of like robotic stuff. And I kind of feel that this teen potentially has either just started university or like maybe they graduated early. They're that color. They're that age in that stage of their life. I used blinds in this room because I felt that it fit the aesthetic of the room better than the curtains that we've been using around the house. All right, this is the first child's room. This is the child where I feel is into animals, I believe. I didn't really convey this animals and nature theme very well in this particular room, but nonetheless, I still like this particular room. We used a lot of high school years and cats and dogs in here. I've put in a lot of the nature press portraits. This one with a little owl on it, and then an owl in the thing. And I've got a wilderness kind of play, a dollhouse and whatnot. I decided to do some hanging clothes because I didn't really have a lot of space for a dresser. And yeah, this is mostly this room. I kept it very simple. I used the same wallpaper that I used in the master bedroom that has those little flowers on it, the base game wallpaper. And this room is quite the opposite. It's very pink. Dare say, is this my favorite room of the house? No, that was the master bedroom. This is a close second. I really loved this little sausage dog like chair. Sofa, I thought that was really sweet. And this like growing together rug with the little flowers on it paired perfectly. It's the same shade of pink as a lot of the other assets. I sized up the penguin. I used the freezer bunny from the new pack, and I put a ton of these little animals. Now I'm confused which sim is meant to be into animals because I feel like they're both. If you go by the decoration of their rooms, just lots of cutesy little stuff. It's very girly in here. We do use a pink wallpaper, and we move into the final bedroom, which is the infant's room. And I use a lot of kind of, I don't know, I think we use greens and yellows in this particular build. I put in a huge bookcase because I had an awkward amount of space and I didn't know what to do with it. I put in a giraffe because I love that thing. The thing is so cute. And I'm just adding like backpacks into each bedroom, obviously in different colors. And I think we're just adding the final touches into this infant's room. You have a changing table and whatnot, and I think, yep, green. The final room of the house is this study. Now this is again another room where you could make a bedroom. I just didn't feel that I had enough bathrooms to like be realistic to the amount of bedrooms that there was. So if you decide to download it, you can make this room into whatever you'd like. But yeah, I just made it into a very simple study. Used a lot of the furniture that we've got around the house because I realized that there wasn't a computer anywhere in this build. So yeah, I have just done an improv study. We are now live in game and we are going through the tour. So you enter in through, oh no, we'll just do the front porch first. You've got that flower arranging table and a simple sitting area. You walk in into the entryway that has a kitchen. To the left side of the build, you have the living room. Lots of family stuff. My easel got deleted somehow, so I'm going to quickly add that back in. And my bookshelf, don't ask me how, but it got deleted. You then head down the hall towards the right side of the build. You have the downstairs bathroom. You have that back door, so that's where you would go out of the build. Down the hallway, back to the front of the house where you've got the dining room. And into the master bedroom, which is my favorite room of the house. You then go upstairs into a landing space, into the upstairs bathroom, into that study, the first twin child's room, and the teens room. Yep, really fun in there. And then into the second child's room, sorry, that pink room. I love that sofa with a sausage dog. It's so cute. Into the infant's room. And then we are going to head downstairs back out to the back of the property where you have some gardening, some play equipment, a seating area. You have the grill, you have some marbles, you have a basketball hoop, tons of skill building and tons of kids activities. And that is the build today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this build as much as I did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.